Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and others. This is Girl Talk. You're listening to WBOR Brunswick, Maine, 91.1 FM. My name's Grace.
And my name's Peyton.
And you're listening to Girl Talk,
where we talk about all things interesting to the girlies that, like, the girls would talk about at a sleepover. And by that I mean murder and hauntings, as we will talk about on today's episode, and
just the usual
strange feminist rants, and just about anything else you can think of, and in general, just girly pop.
Girly pop.
But as we said, today we're doing a Halloween special we were going to do last week, but the events in Lewiston, we were slightly unable, but also just not very comfortable hosting our show last week, and obviously we hold a lot in our hearts. Grace, you're a Mainer, so it has more of a deep effect on her, but it has obviously touched all of us, and it's still just a weird feeling, but we're going to try and push through that today and keep going, and we're going to tell some spooky stories, because Halloween was this week, what, Tuesday?
And today is Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos?
Dia de los Muertos. I'm so bad at pronouncing things.
I can't pronounce things.
But
people put pictures on the ofrenda of their loved ones.
Yes, my roommate showed me hers today. It was very lovely.
Yeah. So, seeing as it is the Day of the Dead, let's talk about some dead people.
Yes.
But
the Bowdoin dead people.
The Bowdoin dead people.
Which is not the students during the midterms. It is actually actual dead people.
Yeah.
So it's not the people you see stumbling around on the quad, a.k.a. us.
Me. Every day.
Every day of the week. 24/7.
It's bad.
Yep. But today, our spooky episode, we are getting our spooky stories from local spookster David R. Francis, who wrote the haunted Bowdoin College book, which you can buy. Bless you. You can buy it at the Walgreens.
You can buy it at the Walgreens. It's actually at the
Bowdoin bookstore. That's where I bought my copy.
My advisor has a copy, you know.
If you don't have a copy, what are you doing at Bowdoin? That's a joke.
Yeah, you don't need
the viewpoints expressed in this show do not necessarily reflect those of WBOR management or Bowdoin College. We encourage listeners to think for themselves. If you would like to reach WBOR management with a comment, question, or suggestion, please visit us online at WBOR.org.
Just in case we say anything controversial.
Hopefully we don't.
We're fine.
We're fine.
Okay, but you're going to get us started.
Yes, and I nodded a bit towards this at the end of last episode, if anyone remembers. Coleman Hall, which is one of the newer ones. It was built in 1958. Or, no, it says 1957 on the side, but this says 1958. Unless my memory is bad, which it really might be.
Who knows?
I don't have great memory. No, I do. For some things. But I actually have some friends that live in Coleman, a few friends. So, and they say that they have seen some spooky things.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Angie, who says that they have seen a shadow man standing in their door. Apparently the laundry room has a shadow man too. And they said something about the bathroom sinks going out of whack, but my sinks do that, and we think it might be,
they just suck.
The automatic sinks.
Suck.
The viewpoint.
Okay, the sinks are bad.
It's pretty spooky. The shadow men are spooky. I mean, I don't think I'd want to see a shadow man in my door. You do?
I would cry.
Oh,
I'd drop out.
Oh, you drop out?
Yeah, leaving the school.
UMaine? Go to UMaine?
No, back to Tennessee.
Tennessee?
University of Tennessee, Knoxville.
You learn how to be a cowboy?
Yep. That's what they do in Tennessee for sure.
Dang, maybe I should have gone to the University of Tennessee.
Lord, no.
Anyways, Coleman Hall, a quote from a student, they say that it's definitely haunted. That is up for debate, whether you believe in ghosts or not. Where do you land on this issue?
Well, we both take a very, if any of you have ever seen BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Or Watcher. Ghost Files.
Watcher with Shane and
Ryan.
Ryan
Bergara and Shane Madej.
Yeah.
YouTube.com.
So Ryan is
/Watcher.
He very much believes and is very scared. And then Shane just, whenever they do weird stuff, he just threatens the suspected ghosts, and he doesn't believe very much. I would like to. I think it would be so epic and cool.
Be sick.
It would be so awesome. But I don't know. Who am I to say?
Yeah,
I'll find out one day.
I agree with that. You know, I don't believe in ghosts, but I'd like to. I think it'd be pretty cool. Like, imagine if you were just, like, doing your laundry and, like, some spook was behind you just, like, talking to you or whatever.
I'd be like, chill, we're besties now.
Yeah, my laundry buddy. I don't know, the
Laundry
winter
buddy.
basement is kind of spook.
Spook.
Anyways.
I don't know, Hyde's pretty normal.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No spooks?
No spooks, besides the door opening sometimes, but I think that's just the draft. It's the draft.
That's what they all say.
I'm gonna die. It's fine.
So,
But tell us about Coleman.
Coleman Hall, built in 1958, according to Mr. Francis. The dorm has caused many students to go on medical leave, more than any other dormitory on campus per capita.
So that just means that more students in Coleman get hurt. Or, like, in Coleman, specifically.
It could just be a lot of accident prone. Like, maybe Coleman, the stairs are just, like, built weird.
Maybe. Or maybe it just, like, the people placed in Coleman are accident prone.
Ooh, hot take. Sorry
they're
to
all
any
drunkards.
Coleman. Oh,
Listen, the basement people?
called the coal mines?
Yeah, the coal miners? Maybe it's them going down that one flight of stairs.
I mean,
after a
on
night of
Friday
partying.
nights, it looks pretty, like, sick down there. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the flashing lights. Shout
Yeah,
out. It looks lit.
I've been down there.
Oh my god, I don't go out.
I've
so-
been in the room.
Oh, nice. The one, like, right on the edge of the walk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting...
Peyton's a partier, everybody.
Oh, yeah,
I am
totally.
not. Last time there was a party, I think I sat inside under my covers and played Animal Crossing.
But that's valid.
It's so valid. You know, and I made a cup of
you
hot
know what that
cocoa.
makes me want to do?
Play Animal Crossing?
Play Power Wash Simulator on my Switch. Whatever.
Valid.
Coleman.
Coleman Hall. Bowdoin's early medical school, which is located in Adams Hall, which we'll talk about later, was supposed to be a breaking-edge school, but soon it was closed because, you know, Bowdoin just couldn't keep up with the technology of the time around the 1920s. So they closed the medical school, and they had a lot of bodies in the medical school. And, you know, what do you do with all these leftover bodies?
I don't know, Grace. What did they do with them?
Well, allegedly, these bodies who belonged to poorer folks or criminals with no family, you know, they had no one to claim these bodies, and so supposedly, the bodies, under the shade of night, were carted over to where Coleman stands today and buried in the dirt.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that is why some people think that, you know, all these students are, you know, seeing shadow men and it's things that go bump in the night in Coleman, but there's no
burial
substantiated facts.
No, nothing really.
None. It's just hearsay. It wouldn't stand up in court.
Would not. But no one knows where the bodies went either.
Yeah. So
there is no evidence going either way.
So, you know, you can't say there's not any bodies. I mean,
say there are any.
I would think that maybe they would have uncovered them while they dug out for the coal mines.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's more than 6 feet.
Yeah.
And I feel like
really
if you're
is.
doing this under the shade of night, you wouldn't do the full 6 feet. I don't know, that's just speculation.
Speculation on our part, but I think they would have. I think also they would have found the bodies if the bodies didn't
For real.
exist.
Yeah. So true, so true. And so now that little Coleman snippet is over, we have to rate it because
Rate it. Oh,
tonight we
didn't
are
tell you.
reading all of our
Rating.
spooky stories.
So what we have is, and we'll post this to our Instagram later, but we made a tier list. So you know how it usually goes, like S tier, B tier, C tier. I'll start at the bottom. And I'll
the
explain
worst
it.
tier.
So the least scariest tier, we have dubbed Spooky Buddies. If any of you don't know, the Buddies is a series of golden retriever puppies.
They're delightful.
Tons of movies: Spooky Buddies, Super Buddies, Space Buddies, 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 Buddy Buddies. I was obsessed with these movies as a kid.
Muddy Buddies.
Yes. Maybe not.
Maybe
Treasure
not.
Buddies. That was one.
Treasure Buddies.
Treasure Buddies.
Yes, the pirate one, right?
Pirate.
No.
They were in like Egypt.
Yeah, you're right. Was there a pirate one?
I don't think there was a Pirate Buddies.
I'm making this up.
We can make it happen.
Anyways,
You just gasp over Ryan Gosling.
yeah, that man is amazing. Anyways,
So,
tier list.
so Spooky Buddies is the least scariest. It's just a movie about the spooky the buddies
Just dogs.
finding the spirit of a beagle puppy, and they have to like save it. But it's very not scary. It's very cute. Although I think it's a little sad.
It is. I was saddened by it as a child.
Yeah, I was like, because I think I was hoping the puppies would come back to life.
Yeah, and they were just
But they'd been
ghosts.
dead for like hundreds of years. So
It's
that was
so sad.
But like it's a kids movie. Next
depressing.
is Grace. You're gonna have to say this one.
Nosferatu. It's a silent film which was released, about Dracula, but he couldn't get the rights to Dracula, so he just made up a story very similar to Dracula, and it's very like comical. I think if you Google Nosferatu, and he just looks.
He looks a little silly goofy.
He's very silly goofy.
A little silly goofy.
But he's also kind of scary. Like, I don't think I'd want to see him at the foot of my bed at night. Like, I'd probably want to see the spooky buddies, but not him.
Yeah. If I had a golden retriever puppy at the end of my bed, I'd be great. If I had that guy at the end of my bed,
I'd probably be scared and then I'd laugh.
I'd be like,
Bro. He needs to go to cosmetology school because the way he applied that eyeshadow.
but that's our D tier. So the second level scariness. In the middle, we have the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that just came out. We're not nerds. Don't. Yes, we are.
I just jump on the bandwagon of things.
Yeah, but it's in the middle because like it's a spooky. It'll give you a good jump scare here and there. I haven't actually seen it, but like I know everything about it.
It's
so
PG-13, so it's
like,
not like
it's
not bone chilling.
But it's not gonna
shout out to
give you
Josh
nightmares.
Hutcherson, my king, Peter Malark.
Peter Malark. Peter Malark. Anyway, so that's right in the middle. Above that we have The Conjuring, which is a pretty scary movie to me. I've seen it.
Did Stephen King? No.
No, The Conjuring is based off of true
Real,
events.
quote unquote.
Quote
Real unquote.
events. End quote.
Mm.
Very iffy on that. Of the Warren.
Oh yeah, Ed and Lorraine.
And Lorraine Warren. Very meh. And then the top of the list, Hereditary, is the scariest that I've been able to perceive as the scariest. Very, very spoopy.
And they played that in Mills Hall a few
did.
weeks ago. I think it was Friday the 13th.
Probably.
Why didn't they play Friday the 13th?
That would have been a good idea, but maybe they wanted to go scarier. Because Friday the 13th, I don't think it's that scary.
Yeah, but it's camp. It's fun.
You're right. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
So,
What's
that
done is
first
done.
one, that Coleman one.
Yes.
Because of... Where do you want to rate it?
I'd probably put Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Because it's unsubstantiated.
Very
There's not a
unsubstantiated.
lot of concrete stories. We started off with this one because it's very near and dear to our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
We actually were in Coleman recently with some friends.
Recently, we'll tell you about that later.
You will hear about it later, but it's not. It doesn't have a lot of substance.
Mm-mm.
Not a lot of meat to the sandwich.
Meatiness.
Yeah, it's just like a cheese sandwich.
Yeah, nothing in between those buns.
Yeah, that happened to me. I went to the cafe. They told me it was
Ooh.
a bacon, egg and cheese Sammy, and it was just cheese and.
Yeah, that's what the story is. So
I paid a lot of
Nosferatu.
money. It was like $5.
Dang, that's sad. Well,
Anyways.
so that's Nosferatu level. Not too scary. The shadow people are kind of scary.
I'd pee myself.
Yeah, I mean, I would in any of these situations, I would be scared to my bones, and I would leave the school.
Spooked.
But I'm also
And we'd go to
whip.
Tennessee and become cowboys.
Yeah,
Or country singers.
that Nashville.
Nashville.
That's where Swifty was born.
T Swizzle.
Not born, like her music career was born. Blah, 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 blah. So, with that, we have that there. The
Yep.
next, the building that we are currently in is the basement of Dudley Co.
Womp, womp, womp.
Dudley Co. got its name from... Well, first of all, it was a health center / infirmary. So, there's that. A lot of people went here when they were sick, blah, 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 blah. So, there was a Bowdoin student, and he became a trusty alumni-ish kind of person. And he's the one who donated and had this building built, I think. Yeah. And so there's one thing he had put in there, which was a portrait of his son Dudley, who had died at a young age, and which is a very sad story. And I never like talking about like children dying young, because that's my heart point. But so he wanted the building to be named after Dudley, so it was. It's named Dudley Co. The portrait showed, like, I think people described it as like angelic and playful. He was probably an adorable kid.
A cutie pie.
All kids are. Little cute pie kid. And funny things started happening when that portrait was hung.
What kind of funny things?
All kinds of funny things. One thing was the toilets. Dudley apparently loved to flush the toilets repeatedly, on end. Just flushing the toilets. And that's why the toilet here doesn't work today. Just in case you're wondering, the toilet here is iffy. Like the one bathroom.
I mean, that's what I do in my free time. You know, I just go
Flush
into the
toilets?
Winthrop bathroom, and those buttons are really fun to push.
You touch them?
We taped over the sensors so it doesn't flush on us.
Oh.
It's great. I recommend everyone else does that because I hate the automatic toilets.
Yeah, it does kind of just flush when you're just sitting there.
Yeah.
Then you get
So I just go in there
soaked.
when I'm bored and I go, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I really relate to Dudley.
to Dudley. He's a bro.
He's a bro.
But anyway, he's not a malicious spirit.
Oh.
Many of the staff, they thought of him as just a friendly, playful little child. Whenever something would happen, they would just go, "Oh, that was Dudley. Oh, there goes Dudley. Oh, yeah, you know. Oh, it's just our little ghost friend.
Just our little
ghost
goofy
kid.
cutie
Little
pie."
Goofy, silly little ghost kid, which is adorable to me. Something he would also do, which I think is very related to what this building is now, a radio center, was he would turn radios on.
Wow.
Buddy just wanted to jam.
I think he wants a show with
He does.
WBOR.
He wants a show.
I think you should have the slot after ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 2 to 3 a.m. spot, witching hour.
Yeah.
Perfect. He'll be at his strongest.
Yeah, for real.
And, you know, he can play toilet flushing sounds.
That would be wonderful.
That
I would
would
tune
be
into
joyous.
that. Dudley, I would so tune into your toilet show.
Dudley, we love you.
Love you, Dudley.
But I don't know. That one's just very cute to me. So the toilets would flush randomly. And one thing that happened specifically, I remember, is that they had someone come in to do something with the toilets, and they're like, these are flushing by themselves. And the staff was so like normalized to it that they were like, oh, that's fine, it's Dudley. And if I was the people working on the toilets, I would have left. I would have been like, you weirdos, you psychos, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what kind of weird satanic stuff.
It's just Dudley.
I'm leaving. But one lady did say she had a spooky experience here. She was in the bathroom splashing some water on her face, I think, or she was just washing her hands or something, and then from behind her, almost, it looked like water was splashed onto the mirror.
Dudley.
And
now she's gonna have to clean the mirror.
I know, and Dudley was probably just he was just playing.
goofing.
But it did scare her, and I admit I probably would have been a little spooked too if that had happened to me.
For
So
real?
she did leave and never really came back at night again. But now that the health center moved and Dudley Co. is not really used for anything like that anymore, and like staff aren't really too much in like the basements, just the radio show, I don't think anyone's paying attention to any paranormal activity. Nothing has been heard from Dudley, sadly.
Aw. Well, if Dudley wants to come turn on our radios tonight, we would be very open to seeing him.
Yeah.
King.
Imagine we just saw like a kid.
I would
I
leave.
would actually
This
cry.
radio show would be over.
Forever. I'm
Forever,
never stepping
never.
back in this basement if that actually happened.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, he's a cutie. But if I actually saw the ghost of a dead child,
I'd sob.
I would.
I would go to Texas to become a cowboy and a country singer. Like
Texas
T Swizzle.
now.
Oh, shoot.
Farther.
Tennessee.
We might need Texas even farther.
Yeah, we
Get as
just,
far away as possible.
yeah. Like, I
No.
would move to Antarctica
Wow.
to be with the actual polar bears.
That might actually be closer.
No.
You're right. Sorry. I have
Whoa.
a really bad concept of geography. It's really bad. It didn't happen.
Everyone, please forget that. Like, just delete it from your memories.
It did happen. I know where things are. But let us rate. And I think we easily know where this is going to fall.
Yeah.
Spooky buddies.
Spooky buddies.
It's not scary. It's adorable.
Like, Dudley, if I saw him in that mirror right now...
Would I be terrified? Yes. But
no,
would I also
I'd
think,
invite him in. I think he just wants to come hang out. He's just a bro wanting to flush our toilets. Maybe he wanted to be a plumber.
Right. You're so right. He had aspirations in life.
And he didn't get
to
do it. And so I think we should just let him.
Just let him. Let him vibe.
And then he can become a radio host.
He already is, in my heart.
Dudley, shout out.
Shout out to you, Dudley.
Shout out to you.
That's hilarious. Okay, so that's all the Spooky Buddies. It's not scary, it's just cute. Anyways, next.
Well, next, we are going to be talking about Massachusetts Hall, which is Mass Hall.
Mass Hall, Burger King, foot lettuce.
Mass Hall is the oldest building on campus. The second is Winthrop, which is a really interesting fun fact, because a lot of people think it's Maine Hall, but the original Maine Hall actually burnt down. A lot of old buildings burnt down. When you look back into like records and stuff, like in my hometown, I swear, in my hometown, like 5 hotels burnt in like the span of a year, not in a year, in like 50 years.
A year, that's crazy.
I think there was a pyromaniac in my town at one point.
Well, wasn't there one who burned down your dad's apartment?
Hearsay. Maine Hall was actually supposed to be built first, but it was too much money for early Bowdoin. They weren't as endowed as they are right now. I mean, right now we get the poutine truck, which I haven't seen in a while, and I'm starting to get like my poutine withdrawals.
Oh no, you're getting the shakes scratching at your skin.
Yeah, I need my gravy and cheese curds and fries.
Need it.
Anyways, Mass Hall was the president's house, a library, and a dormitory. It was really a Swiss Army knife of a building.
All in one.
Yep.
A spork.
A spork. It was the spork of this campus.
Sporkife.
A sprike. We'll workshop that one and come back to you guys. The president's house was soon moved to where Cyril's is today.
Cyril's, which we still can't pronounce.
I really can't say the name of that building.
Cyril's.
Like Cyril's.
Okay. Oh.
We're gonna ignore that. But Mass is an office place right now, and it was the president's until the late 20th century. Mass is apparently super haunted, but we don't have too many specific stories. But my favorite story, I think it's really funny. Apparently one night, a student was working late in Mass Hall, which is very relatable. Tis the season for midterms. But he was just grinding. He was pulling an all-nighter, as you do, as I will probably be doing tomorrow. Yeah.
I do have a quiz in the morning.
I have an essay due that I really haven't started.
Ooh, it's fine.
If you're listening, Trisha, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, the student, sometimes you just like feel really tired and like you have to fight to keep your eyes open.
Mm-hmm. And it's like your just head keeps falling.
Like, it just feels so heavy.
And you just want to let go so bad.
Well, he let go.
He
gave up and he just
gave in.
He laid his head down on the table and zonked. Honestly, relatable.
He was so eepy.
He was just eepy. And so he got a few good a little nap in. Oh, wow. But suddenly he was awoken by deep laughter right in front of his face.
That's my
just like that. Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Exactly.
I was
like
there.
That. Yeah, you were.
I was actually the one laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You scared the bajinkies out of this boy.
Yeah, this was probably in like the 2000s too. Like I don't know when this book was published, but I was like 1 and I did this, guys. And I was invisible.
Wow.
But he jumped up and his first thought, he looked above the large fireplace in the room that he was working in.
Fireplace.
And right above there.
What was there?
Was a portrait of Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain.
Our Lord and Savior.
JC.
The man who
the myth.
essentially ended Am I getting that right?
I don't know where you're going. Oh, he accepted Lee's surrender. Like,
no,
formal,
he is.
I mean,
it was
granted,
all him.
Yeah, actually, Chamberlain single-handedly
ended the Civil War.
Won the Civil War for the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, some people may say that for what he did on. They say that the Battle of Gettysburg is the high watermark of the Civil War.
That one guy when we were in orientation.
Did he? Oh, Angus King.
Angus.
Oh, love him.
Angus.
Shout out to a fellow Mainer. But anyways, yeah, he was ballsy. He was a Bowdoin professor. He told them he was going on a religious sabbatical to France.
False. Lies.
And he just showed up in Portland.
He was like
commissioned as a lieutenant colonel for the 20th Maine. Like this man had
no sabbatical. I'm going to war.
This is a whole thing for me. This man had no military experience, but then the Maine government was just like, yeah, make him the second in command of a regiment of like 500 men. Like he's
powerful.
He's literally a rhetoric professor.
The man. He is
real,
him.
Did you see? Have you seen his mustache?
I've seen the mustache.
That's a powerful mustache.
Oh.
Do you have a thing for Chamberlain?
No.
Okay. No. Anyways, so the kid
looks up and he sees
Chamberlain.
Sees him.
And he quote, he felt a connection, unquote.
As we all do when we look at Joshua Chamberlain.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to feel a connection.
Deep one. Deep connection.
Deep connection. But coincidentally, the room was actually Chamberlain's office when he was president from 1871 to 1883. That's a good while. That's 13 years.
That's a good time.
That's Taylor Swift's lucky number. I'm not even a big Swiftie, and I know that.
Wow. Factoid.
It's in a commercial for like Delta. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Delta Airlines?
I think it was Delta.
Delta Airlines.
Anyways, Chamberlain was a champion of education. I mean, in his inauguration speech, he actually encouraged Bowdoin to include women students.
As he should.
As he should. His wife was a strong woman.
King. Okay.
And so were his daughters. Anyways, Chamberlain, since he was a champion of education, it can be inferred that, he woke up the student to make sure he got his essay done on time.
Yeah, he's like
get on,
buddy.
He was like, get on the grind.
Work.
Come
on. Wake up. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Wake up.
Ha, 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 ha.
Ha, ha, ha. That
For
was
real.
his love.
That's what it sounded like.
That's how I wake people up. I stand over them and go, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, that's exactly like I wake up sometimes and Peyton has somehow broken into my room in Winthrop and she's just like laughing.
Well, you're on the first floor, so very easy.
Whoa, doxing me on live air.
Anyone can find that out.
You're so right.
I hate
I
to
talked
tell
with
you,
my roommate about that today,
but
actually. Because we took a picture of our room from outside.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have really cute lights. Did you see the photo? I posted it.
I did not.
Anyways, I digress. To the left of the fireplace that the Chamberlain portrait is hung upon, there is a large wooden door that leads to the back door and a bathroom. So it's a door that leads to a hallway with a bathroom and a back door. And one night, a professor, he just needed to use the bathroom.
He needed to go pee-pee.
It's a bodily function.
Putty.
And so he went to the bathroom and he was just in there and he heard the door slam and, this big door has an iron bar.
Loud noises scare me just in general, so this would have already freaked me out.
No, House Olympics made me want to curl into a ball and stop.
I left.
I should have left.
Should have.
Yeah. Anyways. So the door has a big iron bar that slides into place and you can lock it from this small hallway that this bathroom is located in. And he heard it while he was peeing. He was like, oh, that's weird.
Oh.
But he didn't think it was actually that. So he went, tried the door, locked. And he was like, that's strange. He's alone in this building.
A little silly.
Late at night.
There's no one here. How did this door lock?
And, luckily he had his key on him.
If he didn't...
he would have not been able to do his work, this professor.
Oh, poor guy. He would have been there until morning, until someone got him.
For real.
No, he could still get out.
Yeah, he could have just gone home.
You're so right.
But he went out the back door and had to come back in through the front door of Mass. And this is a tangent, a side note. If you go out the back door of Mass Hall, there's a tree that looks like it has boobs and nipples and areolas. It's really funny. Every time I go by, I chuckle. Posted that one on Yik Yak. Yik Yak, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Anyways.
It's Joshua's tree.
Yes.
Okay.
Quote us on that one.
So he goes outside and he goes back in.
And that's the whole story of that.
I mean, he unlocked it, but like...
Yeah, he got back in. He's like, oh, he checked the whole building.
No one there.
Nobody's there. And, like, if you were pulling a prank on this professor, like, that's kind of unkind. Because what if he didn't have his key on him?
And then he just locked... And so, like, why would Joshua do that? I don't think my man Joshua would do that.
No,
I think that's another, maybe more nefarious spirit.
Yeah, that's what the author claims. And it's interesting that there's not that many more stories about Mass Hall, because it is the oldest building on campus, completed in 1803.
By technicality.
By technicality. 200 years under its belt. More than 200 years.
It's a long time.
It's older than the state of Maine.
Because it was actually not a state, and it was, what was it?
Massachusetts.
It was Massachusetts.
Maine became a state in 1820 with the Missouri Compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Maine came in as a free state. Missouri came in as a slave state.
Yep.
Shout out to Professor Rail.
Bada boom, bada bang. So let's get to rating that one.
I think that's a pretty good spook. Like,
I think it
is. If I woke up to Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain laughing at me, I'd probably sob, actually.
Yeah, no.
For two reasons.
For all of
I
these,
disappointed him, and that there's phantom laughter.
For all of these, I may think it's funny, but if it happened to me, I would die inside. I think I would put this at a FNAF, at a good medium Five Nights at Freddy's.
I'd agree with that.
You agree?
I agree. I concur.
Perfect. So just because it kind of has like two tones to it of the whole like Mass Hall story of like, sure, the Joshua Chamber one's a little goofy, which you can compare to the goofiness of the animatronics, but then also the other one with the door thing is kind of creepy, which kind of ties in with the child murder.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's on the same level as child murder, but it's spooky. It's mean. I think child murder's pretty mean.
It's very mean. A little rude.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay, so this next one is my favorite building on the Bowdoin campus.
Same.
For one single reason. That it has single bathrooms.
And it's spooky.
And it's spooky.
And it's got that dark academia vibe that makes me want to actually study.
So good.
I ran into you there the other day.
We were both there. We were sitting on the couches.
Oh, the leather couches in this building.
Delicious.
Absolutely scrumptious.
Loved it. But, so, this building has a lot of stories to it. A lot of different things that may be attributed to different spirits. The first thing, just about the architecture, has a gargoyle, which is not commonly seen, like gargoyles that actually work in this one.
Like in The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Notre Dame.
Like when they sing? Do they sing? I don't know.
The Disney one, probably.
I'm talking about the Disney one. You know it.
They always sing the Disney ones. Okay, but so it does it pushes off water for rain, so practical purpose, and also attempts to scare off spirits, though with the way Hubbard's history is coming up, I don't know if it's doing too good of a job at that.
And from our story about Hubbard.
So, a lot of people have died in that building or due to that building.
Really?
It's a little funky. One thing that is highlighted is Arthur Daggett, a man.
It's like Daggett Lounge.
Daggett Lounge,
which is
named after him.
Is that the one in Moulton?
I don't know. I don't know where anything actually is. But this man...
Or just first years.
This man was leaving Hubbard late at night on a cold winter day. Night. And the steps, I'm afraid, were a bit icy.
They didn't salt them?
A bit slippery. Guess not.
Damn.
And he sadly fell.
Oh.
He slipped down those stairs, and he died in the hospital later on. Although many say... I don't know what they say. I'm going to go with that. But if I had died because of some ice, I would haunt the building.
I would haunt it, too.
I would be so mad at myself and at the world and at Bowdoin for not having salted those steps, and I would haunt that building and cause as much trouble as I could.
Yeah, at the very least, they could have put dirt.
Dirt. Come on.
That's what they do around here. You ever seen dirt?
I've not.
Oh, you dirt the streets.
Really?
Yeah, for traction for the cars.
Not ice, salt.
No, because in the spring when all the snow melts, there's piles of dirt everywhere, and I used to have to shovel it out of our...
Gross.
Yeah. Or sand. I think it might be sand. I don't know.
Who knows? Another person who died was John C. Donovan, who had a heart attack in his office on the second floor. Could be caused by something supernatural or just bad health in carotid arteries.
Aw.
We'll never know. We probably could find out he had made.
Yeah, it's
Health
probably
records.
it's probably that second one.
Probably just,
It's just
people those
bad
days.
heart.
Bad heart. Happens. Another employee, though, died of another heart attack
Damn.
in the basement. Which reminds me of a Supernatural episode where, like, the people were having heart attacks because, like, a ghost nurse was doing it to them. Maybe that's what happened here. Probably not at all anything like that.
Maybe there's a
But-
ghost nurse of Hubbard Hall.
Ghost nurse of Hubbard Hall causing
From
heart attacks.
Supernatural.
From Supernatural.
Yes.
Yes.
For real.
So the portraits in there is another thing.
I love
something,
the portraits. I'm sorry.
but they're also,
I love it.
if you look them in the eyes too long, creepy.
Some of them look really depressed.
Really depressed. Some of them just look soulless, and then some of them look like they're staring into your soul and trying to steal it from you.
Yeah, I mean,
I like to keep my soul.
I nod at Chamberlain's every time I walk up there.
Like give them a little hey,
No,
what's
it's
up?
a down nod. It's
Oh,
down,
down
nod.
nod.
Yeah, like
Not
as I
an
get to
up
the top
nod.
of the steps.
Not a what's up nod, more of a I acknowledge you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big fan of Chamberlain.
We love them.
Big fan.
But, those portraits. Another thing was that this one story where security officers who are, tasked with closing this building down, getting people who are asleep in there or being heathens.
Me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You're a heathen. You're a heathen in
Always.
Hubbard after closure.
Always and forever.
He was trying to close up and he heard a voice call out, "Hello?" That's my impression.
I loved that.
Hello?
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 Hello? Okay, anyway.
Hello?
So he was obviously like, oh, maybe there's like a student here who was asleep that I missed and they're probably freaking out because I would be.
Me and HL for real.
So he goes and looks around. No one there. Goes to lock up again. What does he hear?
Hello?
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 We don't know what kind of hello it was.
No, not really.
It's not specified.
He goes and looks again. No one there. About to leave, hears another voice.
Hello?
Hello? Locked the building and dipped. Man got out of there. He made the smart decision.
As he should.
He made the decision that people in horror movies do not make and should make. That if they made, it wouldn't be a horror movie. He
So
made the
real.
right decision. He didn't create a horror movie out of his life. He said, "I'm out."
He noped.
As I would nope as well. Another thing, so a custodian was one time working on like the main lounge, like by the staircase.
The foyer.
The foyer, if you will, and there are some rugs there, rugs that are still there today.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know if they're
step on those
probably not the
rugs.
same rugs.
Who knows?
Could be.
I mean,
Be cray.
they're kind of old looking.
They do look kind of raggedy, but
No
so,
offense, Bowdoin. We love you.
So what you have to do, or what he had to do while cleaning, he had to roll it up.
Yep.
Roll those rugs up, get them out of the way so he can clean. He went to go make like his mop water or something, and he left the hallway. He comes back. I just headbutted the mic.
Heard that.
He comes back, and the rug has been unfurled.
No.
It's been placed back in its original spot.
I would leave then and
Who
there.
could have done this? The building was empty. Dun dun dun. So he's like, I probably just forgot.
Which is very horror movie of him. Like,
Yeah.
I probably would have been like,
that was
no.
me. He was like, blah, blah, blah. So he rolls it up again, does the thing. He goes back outside for a hot girl walk, with his other buddies. And the rug is supposed to be stolen up at this point, keeps his mind. So he's walking with his buddies and he tells them about it. And they were like, nah, dude, weird things happen there, homie. Believe me, you.
Very
Believe
horror
me,
movie-esque.
And yeah, like your friends all saying bad things about a place, like, no,
Don't go in there.
don't go in there. You'll
Don't
die.
do it.
Don't do it.
And then people always do go in
And then
there.
they always do it. But, it was kind of his job.
Just like
so,
Bucko.
So he goes back, and the rug, which was, as he last left it rolled up, is once again unfurled back in its original place.
Bum, bum, bum. We need to get a soundboard.
We do. I think our voice effects are fine.
Yeah, for real.
They're perfect. I don't see anything wrong with them. So then he was like, no. And then he also quit. A lot of these ended people's just like noping out and quitting. The other
smart
guy
move.
didn't quit. He just left, which smart decision. But he said absolutely not quitting.
I'm out.
No. So there's another a more custodian story of Joyce Whittemore. We actually thought this was Grace's current housekeeper. It's not, however, your housekeeper did remember her.
Yes.
So recent enough for her to be remembered.
Yes, Joyce Whittemore used to be the head of custodians, actually.
Head of custodians.
And
what a woman.
Joyce in my hall, she's a lovely lady. Shout out to Joyce.
Joyce.
I was talking to her. I was like, hey, Joyce, what's your last name? And she said, Joyce, I think it was started with a D. I'm so sorry, Joyce. I don't remember. And I was like, do you know Joyce Whittemore? She was like, yeah, there's actually like 3 Joyces working here at one point, which is really funny.
That is funny.
But Joyce Whittemore, Miss Whittemore, was the head of custodians.
Wow.
For a while before she retired.
But this woman, and she sounds like an absolute gem to me. She was
Girl
told
boss.
about everything that happened in Hubbard, and she was like, all right, I don't care.
For real.
I'm just going to do my job. Boss. Woman.
Girl boss.
But as she was cleaning, she would often leave music on the bottom floor. And she would, like, go up. Or, like, it was either on the bottom of the 3rd floor. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. She would leave it on something, and when she would get to a certain floor, it would turn off.
The ghosts don't like her tunes.
Which is a little rude.
So rude.
Not
Like, they should have
gonna
asked.
lie. Like, if someone turned
change
my
the
radio
channel.
off, rude. But it would be unplugged when she got back to it. Another thing that would happen is that, like, she would clean a bathroom and then go to clean offices, and then that bathroom, the sinks would turn on. And I don't think these were automatic sinks.
No, Hubbard does not. Those sinks are ancient.
Yeah. Especially back then. Like, even if they'd been upgraded now, I wouldn't think that they were during
They definitely
her
are
time.
not.
No. But basically, this just kept happening, and eventually, she just kind of, she like burst into the bathroom, and she was like, there's a paraphrase here, but like, I don't care what you do what you want, just don't leave the sinks on, turn them on if you want, turn them off, because I don't want to have to come back here and, like, drain the basin or have to clean up the counters. Like, she was just fed with, like, the making more work for her aspect. Did not care about the fact of the whole aspect of paranormal activity. She was just like, don't make more work for me.
Girl boss.
Don't you dare.
No, she just was done with their crap.
Yeah, she was not. But anyway, it didn't happen again. The ghost did listen, as they should.
Because she is the boss.
She is a queen, and she is listened to. Bam. The next thing, though, so my favorite, study room in there is a Shannon room.
Shout
It's
out
a very
Shannon
beautiful room. However, one time when workers were installing new blinds, they would have to, like, leave and go in and out a lot. And each time, they would find that the door that needed to be physically locked was locked.
No,
And
I would
had
nope
not
out of
been
there.
locked by either of them. One time, even, one of them stayed in the room, and it was for sure unlocked, and the other guy did not touch it. When the other guy who had left came back, it was locked, and he had to get the guy to open it from within.
Dang, his pal was locked in there.
Yeah. Who knows what could
Horrifying.
happen to him?
I would have left.
Terrible. There's one more room also, the Bliss room. We are not currently allowed in this room.
I want to go in the bliss room so
wants it.
bad. Like, every time I walk by to go to the class I have in the Pickering room, I, like, gaze at those little, like, submarine windows, and I'm like, wow.
I want to be in there.
I need to be in there, and there's, like, bubble wrap and stuff all in there.
But this was one of Thomas Hubbard's, like, living spaces.
He lived in Hubbard.
He had, like, it was like a vacation-ish home for him and his family.
King.
Like, he just had rooms where he could stay.
I mean, if he paid for that big, nice building,
If
he
he-
better have a room in there.
Yeah, but this was later on a woman's office.
Oh.
And there was an old liquor cabinet that actually belonged to him in there. And what she would find is that, what happened to her?
Like, things would move around
Things
in the
would
room, right?
move.
And, like, the cabinet would shake.
Yes, the cabinet was shake, that's what it was. And so she eventually took note that maybe homie just wanted a drink. So she stocked the liquor cabinet and it never happened. And she found that as long as she stocked the liquor cabinet, maybe had a glass poured out or something, nothing would happen. But if that was ever not the case, the things would happen again. So she just kind of like termed out this guy. She like figured out, she was like, you just want some drinks, homie? I can make that happen.
Yeah, homie,
and then
just
she
wanted
made
some
it happen.
some
And
whiskey.
she was like, all right, chill.
Sick.
Whiskey. Okay.
Whiskey.
But that's about all of the things that happen in Hubbard, and it's a lot. And I think that's what scares me is the deaths and everything.
Yeah, because we actually wrote some of our script for this evening in the basement of Hubbard.
Yeah.
Sitting on the ground when we were sitting next to a bunch of seats. We are interesting people.
We make
Interesting
good
decisions.
choices.
So, wait, where are we rating this on the spookometer?
On the spookometer, I think this is a Conjuring.
I was going to say the same thing.
Just because of how deathy death.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
So, this one's not the top. It is nearly the top.
Nearly.
It's second.
Second to top.
Because it's
tier.
pretty spooky, I've got to admit.
A tier?
No,
goes
it's The
SA.
Conjuring.
It's the Conjuring tier. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what I compare it to. It's fine. We have a few more left.
Bowdoin College, established in 1794, but classes actually didn't start till 1803, fun fact.
Dang.
So all of our shirts say 1794.
False.
But
Wrong. Wrong.
hot take.
The next thing we're going to talk about is a personal experience
A personal
that
experience.
we just went through.
Yes, on Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
With some
Halloween.
friends. Our Coleman friends, actually. We started in Coleman.
We did. And what we started doing was seances.
Pseudo-seance.
Pseudo
With a
very
bunch of non-believers.
very poorly performed seances with a lot of
Hey.
people who don't believe in ghosts.
Our lights were sick. Shout out to Sree's mom.
Yes, we had these little like fake candle
Tea lights, and they
were multicolored.
It was beautiful.
It's like a rave.
We had a ghost rave.
Ghost
we did
rave.
the Charlie thing.
Yeah, I was the only one who could set up the pencils, by the way.
Go boss.
Just saying, I'm a G like that. Bada bang, bada boom.
Bada bang, bada boom.
Anyway, so we started off in Coleman, and we're all like holding hands in the circle. We do the Charlie, are you there?
Hands.
We don't get anything really in the Coleman room.
It was very dry.
Very.
Although
nothing.
Angie says that she's seen shadow people.
Yes.
I would move out. I would move out instantly.
I would drop out.
I would
As I've
go to
said multiple
Tennessee
times.
and become a
We
cowboy.
would become cowboys.
Cow
Girls. People.
country singers.
Cow people. Cow people country singers.
Cowgirlies.
Cowgirls.
Girls.
Yes. So nothing would happen there. We then tried the Coleman basement laundry room specifically. I was so afraid that someone was going to walk into that laundry room and see what we were doing, because that would have traumatized me more than any ghost ever could.
Yeah.
If someone walked in on me sitting in a circle with some other people with a pencil on top of another pencil in
Yup.
front of me, and we're all holding hands with frickin' LED multicolor lights.
And a flashlight pointing at a necklace hanging off of
Yeah,
pushpin.
that we were like, it's a
pendulum.
It's a pendulum.
And the
No,
only
it's not.
thing-
No, it's not.
The only thing haunting that laundry room was that who knows how old bowl of soup.
What was it? Did you accidentally touch it?
No, that was Madeline, I think.
Yeah.
And that was more horrifying than any ghost, because
Ugh, scary.
why is the soup in the laundry room for real? Like, were you just eating soup and you wanted
just,
to do
like,
your laundry?
simmering.
Like,
That's crazy to me.
honestly,
And it was like
pop
in a
off.
dining hall bowl that someone had obviously stolen.
I mean,
Crazy.
borrowed.
Borrowed.
It's still
Yes.
on campus.
Borrow.
We all borrow things.
Oh, yeah. I'm a klepto. I steal. I'm kidding. I would never do that.
The viewpoints expressed.
I would never actually steal. I'm a rule follower. Well, goody two shoes. It's fine. So, seeing as we really didn't get anything there either, we then said, you know where we can go?
Hubbard.
Hubbard.
And it's right next door, so it's just, I think you and I raced over, like we ran.
We did.
I
We started
technically
racing
got there
randomly.
first. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
but you didn't get your one card out.
I was
so-
wearing gloves.
Loser. Shouldn't have been wearing gloves. I got my one card out faster.
I physically got there first. on the stairs at the top.
We're both asthmatic.
And we're both asthmatic. I did track for a while. I was bounding.
Homeward
bound.
Cry.
That's a Simon and Garfunkel song.
It's also a book about a dog and a cat and another dog.
I never read that book.
I watched the movie. I never read the book.
Anyways, Hubbard.
It's not even a book. Anyway, doesn't matter. Hubbard. We struggled for a long time to figure out where we were going to do it.
For real.
Until eventually we found this weird, entrance to an office room. It looked like a staff room, but it didn't say we couldn't be in there.
We started in the basement first.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We started in the basement.
Because those toxic fumes of paint were getting to us.
We sat on this table,
and we hung the quote unquote pendulum from a projector that was right above us, and we actually got a lot from this pendulum.
We did. It started shaking a lot, but that also could have just been the fact that we were in the basement and things shake. Yeah,
but those are offices above us, and there's no professors. It was like 9 p.m.
9 p.m. 9 p.m. is the middle of the night to me, okay? I go to bed early. It's
2 a.m.
I know, and I'm eepy, but I'm awake for this because I love it.
Girl, pop off. But anyways, so we were asking questions, and Madeline was recording on her phone with the...
This was the craziest
thing. This, I think, is the thing that really was interesting to me. Sri pointed out, I didn't notice because I was staring up at the moving pendulum that no one was touching, and no one was breathing on, and we covered up the AC. There was no air going.
Threw a jacket over it.
And Madeline had her phone in front of her, and it had a recording going, and the phone, memo. The phone, would fall asleep, and then suddenly it just lit up again.
And it would happen during weird times, when we said a name or something.
I think I asked, is Thomas Hubbard with us right now? And the pendulum swung, and then the phone turned on.
Yeah, and we tried everything to figure out
who it was.
First, if this was something that could happen to the phone.
Yes.
Or something else. We tried being silent for a while and then making a noise. That didn't make it turn on. We tried movement in front of the phone.
I blew on the phone.
Touching it, but not
shaking
touching
the ground. It wasn't that. It was nothing. And it wouldn't happen at regular intervals.
No, it would be very random.
It would be it'd be off for a second, back on, and then it'd be off for 5 minutes, and then it'd be on.
Yeah.
And the pendulum was moving a lot down there. And it would move in specific times too. I'd be Thomas, if you lived here for a period, can you move the pendulum? And it would swing slightly.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
Very interesting. And then when we were done with that, we went to this weird staff room. But it didn't say we couldn't go in it.
No, it did not. And there was nobody in there. There was no air vents and so we felt like it was a good room, and it was as we there was a bunch of students in the other rooms up there. So we couldn't go in there and do our stuff, but I think we got a lot in that room. I was freaked out. I don't know if you could tell. I was a bit freaked out.
I could tell you were freaked out.
I was, could tell. Because there was a lot of stuff happening to me for no reason. They were picking on me.
They said, this one.
So we went up in there and we checked to make sure there's no one there. Just some empty offices, kind of abandoned looking. We sat on the ground, and it was really hot. I remember it being very hot in there.
It was warm.
Yeah, and so we sat down and we were talking for a while. And I think...
Got our candles, we turned the lights off.
Yeah, I think that I might have asked, is DeWitt Hyde... You said DeWitt, I said, is Hyde with us? And then... and I said, is DeWitt Hyde here? Is Chamberlain here? Because we were just listing off presidents that were in the hall.
We were just trying to name people.
And because we weren't getting anything from Thomas Hubbard, we weren't getting anything from the ghost that turns on the sinks. And then suddenly I feel this breath of cold air on my back, and suddenly I just feel really cold, and I get a chill down my body.
And your hands did get colder.
My hands were freezing. Really Peyton was on one side and Madeline was on the other, and I was it was really strange because it was a hot room.
It was a hot room. I was sweating.
And there was clicking, a knocking.
Yeah, there
almost.
was a weird knocking, and it did
from
make
right
me
behind me, and I wanted to sob on the spot.
Yeah.
And so it was very strange, and it would happen when we'd say things. And I think the knock happened when I said, is Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain here with us today?
And by those two names that we got the most recognition from were the two portraits that were right outside.
That were on the walls abutting the room that we
On the
were
other
in.
side, yeah.
And it's so funny because I walked out and we were looking at the portrait and I was like, oh yeah, and there's Chamberlain and there's some other guy. And then as I walked up, I was like, I'm going to friggin' sob and throw up if that's DeWitt Hyde.
The one that was closest
And
to
I
us.
walk
got
up,
it, like,
it's DeWitt Hyde.
and we were like, no way. And I was
Yeah.
like, hi, I live in your building. I live in Hyde.
He also started Bath Ironworks in Bath.
Wow.
Shout out.
Where did him go?
He was in my final paper for a Maine class I took. But anyways, also during this, another knock happened. I forget what we asked. Madeline has the recording. I can always ask her.
Yeah.
And Madeline and I, on our held hands, suddenly felt this really cold breath of air. It was insanely insane, and I kept getting chills just randomly, like when people would say things. Or
She
like,
was freaked out.
yeah, and I kept like feeling blowing on the back of my neck, and then knocking was happening behind us.
It was
and
weird. It was creeping me
we
out.
tried to debunk it. Like Madeline and I blew on our hands. It wasn't breath. Everyone kind of blew on our hands. It was really funny. We tried like moving our hands and like inhaling, exhaling. Nothing.
Nothing.
Literally nothing. And both of us felt that, and we're both pretty much non-believers. So it's interesting that, this was happening to us. And we try to debunk it. Like, there's no vents anywhere in this room. There's no cold air coming from the doors behind us either. Like, did you see me, like, running my hands along the cracks?
You were like, is there any draft anywhere?
I really wanted to debunk this. But that's our little...
That was our little fun time.
And we will be trying to go back there soon. We want to make a spirit box of some sort.
yeah, we're going to see
Madeline is going to chef us up a spirit box.
concoct.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll happen. But
So
it
we'll
was
see.
a really interesting experience that, kind of felt like something to me,
A lot.
So the next spooky Bowdoin story.
Next, we have 2 more left.
2 more. Or 3 more.
3?
3 more.
Oh.
I
I lied to everyone.
Sorry. We got the Stacks, which is part of Hubbard still.
Yes.
But it's
Technically, you can't get in there from Hubbard.
Nope.
But it's in the Hubbard building.
Yep.
And you have to get there by going to HL Library, Hawthorne Longfellow, and then going
my
to
place
the
of work.
basement, and then
You go in
traveling
the
through
secret tunnel.
The secret. They make it sound so like
Secret.
exaggerate. Secret underground tunnel. No, it's just a path.
They have the ramp gallery
fine.
and the podcast room.
Yeah.
And the media commons.
Yep,
Shout
yep,
out
yep.
to the media commons.
But then you get to the Stacks, and what happens in the Stacks, Grace?
Well,
Tell us.
the Stacks
Goodness.
are pretty much unchanged from when they were first built in 1903, from the
No one touched them.
frosted glassed floors that you can see people walking in above you and
Gross.
below you. It's disgusting. I hate it. I do not like going in there to shelf books or take books. It's a not fun experience for me. I just spooky in there. And a lot of the books that are in there have been in there for the last 100 years.
Are they kind of rank? Or like,
It does. It's
Dusty,
musty
musty.
in there.
yeah.
Yeah, we're
musty.
asthma queens, and
Musty
the must
books.
does
It be
not-
acting-
no, for real. I like came back from there. I was like,
I gotta get inhaler.
anyways, one night, well, every night,
Every
the librarians have to go do a sweep through the stacks to make sure there's no students lurking. To make sure, when we close it, we're not locking anyone in.
Imagine getting locked in, though. Imagine
That'd be
getting
sick.
locked in.
I would kind of enjoy that.
That'd be kind of funny,
I
but
would-
also terrifying.
Nah, that'd be fun. There's some comfy couches in that building.
All to yourself too, because you're locked in there alone.
Yeah, I know where the keys are, though, so
Yeah, you'd be fun.
that'd be fun.
Okay, but yes, they do the sweep, and then what?
Yeah, and one night, a security officer, which is how they used to do it, was, sweeping the stacks, and she went up to the 6th floor, checked it, then went down to the 5th floor, checked it, and as she was standing, in the lobby area of the 5th floor, the elevator got called up to the 6th floor, and she was like, that's strange.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun, for real. That was strange because she just sweeped the 6th floor, and there's no students up there.
Yep. So then, who called the elevator?
Ghosts. Well, who knows? She didn't think that. She thought it was students still. And so the elevator started moving down and she pressed the 5th floor button so that it would open up in front of her. The doors opened.
And no one was there.
Nobody.
Dun dun dun.
So she was like, haha, that's weird.
Oh, what the hell?
And so she went up there, checked, nobody, did her sweep.
Nobody. More officers came in, didn't they?
Yeah.
They were all checking the building, like, where's this kid?
And as they were
There was no
down
kid.
at the bottom, the elevator gets called to the 6th floor.
Gasp.
Again.
Gasp.
They go up there, nobody. The elevator,
A soul.
empty.
Actually, he has a soul, not a body.
Spooky. Maybe it was Thomas Hubbard perusing the stacks.
Just having a good time.
Yeah, maybe it was that the sink
Getting his
ghost.
reading
Joyce's bestie.
Joyce's bestie.
But that is, they called in an electrician because they're like, oh, it's probably just like a goof up in the
elevators,
6th floor.
hacking up.
And the electrician came in and they were like, yeah, nope, this is fine. You shouldn't have
really
called me in. And they probably paid a lot of money because electricians charge a lot per hour.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this elevator, you weirdos, wackadoodles. And they were probably like, what do you mean there's nothing wrong with it? Why is it going to the floor? And they were probably like, you're crazy.
Yep.
Moral of the story.
That's a direct quote, actually. From the
Yeah, for sure.
So where do we rank this one? I put it in, like, Casper, for real.
I think...
It's just a goofy elevator ghost.
You mean Spooky Buddies?
Spooky Buddies, that's what I meant.
What it is.
Like, maybe it's just, maybe Dudley took a hike over to Hubbard and wanted to play with the elevator.
Yeah.
He seems to like pressing buttons.
Definitely Spooky, yeah.
Radios.
I think
Toilets.
pressing buttons both literally and metaphorically.
Yeah,
Pressing
both
people's
work.
buttons and pressing actual buttons.
I like pressing buttons. I really get that.
Yeah,
I respect it.
I also like it metaphorically and literally.
Oh, I just like the literally one.
I love annoying people. It's a passion of mine.
A hobby.
A hobby. I'm evil. It's fine though. So the next one though is about our favorite dining hall
The best dining hall.
for aesthetic. The food depends.
Dinner pops off there usually.
It usually does, but sometimes one's better. But for aesthetic purposes,
Thorn.
and it has supers.
Super.
But
Where we actually wrote this part of the script.
we did. We were sitting there today.
In our
yesterday-ish.
booth. Oh, it was
Yesterday and today. Technically, we went a little past midnight.
Wow.
Time. It works.
Time.
Mysteriously. Not real. Like we
It
said
is November
before.
the 3rd right now.
November the 3rd. Okay, so, Thorn itself, perfectly fine building. Nothing wrong with it.
Beautiful.
The basement, however,
Not as beautiful.
some strange things happen there.
Real.
So in the basement, it's a very, very dim kind of dungeon-esque mixed with like a storage facility. People's lockers are there for like keeping different like clothing storage. It's all for like dining staff. Like the public isn't allowed there. It's all dining staff. And it basically just has like all their extra supplies, all this other stuff. I'm trying to remember here. It was very spooky, and like people just said it was like when you're alone it feels like someone's watching you, and like lights would turn on and off in the corridor or hallway. I don't know why I went Hogwarts there and called it a corridor.
A corridor.
A corridor. It's a hallway, Peyton. Calm down. But like elevator doors would open and close, and one time a student worker, was it a student? Yes, it was.
It was a student worker.
He was, down there one time, maybe doing a super shift, maybe doing just a dinner after, closing up, and he began to hear voices within the walls. Excuse me?
I'd be out of there.
Gone.
The minute.
Right away. The voices in the walls.
In the walls.
In the walls.
I'd sob. I would sob. I would leave and sob.
Absolutely not.
We'd go to Tennessee to become cowgirls and country singers.
Cowgirls and country singers.
The only other option.
He reports this, and people are like, nah. And he brushes it off too. Happens again, though.
Nah.
And at that point, turns in his stuff and leaves and never comes back.
Justified.
Correct decision, stopping yourself from being the victim of a horror movie plot.
He's seen enough horror movies to know you don't
You
stay in the
keep
whispering
going
walls
back.
room.
If the walls are whispering at you, don't go back.
You don't, and people always do in movies.
Always
Why?
do.
I'm sitting there like
Crazy.
yelling at the screen.
Stop!
Stop! Don't go in there.
Oh, it's fine. But people theorize that the origin of the things that happen in Thorn are the haunting of one lady who is not named.
Just a lady.
But also the fact that it
boss.
could technically be a Civil War, like old, like canteenish kind of place
Oh.
that it was like built upon, because like artifacts of like plates and stuff were found there but then lost. Everything seems to get lost around here. documents,
Suspicious.
mummies. We might talk about that in a later episode about a lost mummy. But
The
in this
lost
case,
mummy.
it was,
And you'll get $100 if you find it.
that is a promise that has been made to me legally. Not really.
It's legally binding.
Legally binding by verbalness.
Yeah.
By my emotions.
Verbal agreements aren't worth their weight in paper.
Nope.
Because there's no price. Because they're free. Because there's no paper. Trisha told me that one. Shout out to Trisha!
Beautiful. But basically, originally when they built it, they found this portrait of a lady. And this creeps me out. This really creeps me out.
I would sob. I would also quit Hubbard. I mean, Thorn.
Quit. So they were cleaning out this closet to use as storage, and they found like just a bunch of like weird random stuff in there. One was a portrait of this lady. Over the next like few weeks or whatever was it, whenever someone checked that closet for something, the portrait would be back in there, no matter how many times or to where they moved it. Now, if that's true, that's absolutely terrifying.
What if it's just like
that's crazy?
That guy who heard the whispering voices pulling a prank, like he comes back, he sneaks in, he moves the portrait.
That would be silly goofy. That's just silly goofy.
I want but if it's silly goofy.
If it's true, that is downright terrifying.
Do you think it's still in there? Like, could we ask one of the managers?
Hope not.
Hey guys, if you run into like the manager of Thorn, ask about the spooky
my roommate
lady.
Works in dining services. I can ask her.
Tell her to go in the ketchup room.
The ketchup room.
It's like the condiments room. Like, no joke. I think that's what it said. Where's the ketchup lady?
The painted lady. Is that a Harry Potter thing?
No, that's the fat lady.
Oh, yeah, you're right. What am I thinking of? Doesn't matter. So irrelevant. But, all right, where do we want to rate this?
The whispering voices?
I think this is a Conjuring.
This is definitely a Conjuring. At least.
It's not Hereditary.
It's not Hereditary.
I don't think.
The next one might be Hereditary
the
levels.
The next one is Hereditary to me.
It's Hereditary to me also.
But...
This is definitely The Conjuring to me.
This is The Conjuring to me. Yes.
Alrighty then.
Love.
So the next one, our Hereditary story. Very scary. I mean, I've never personally been in this building. Believe it or not, I live right next to this building. It's called Adams Hall. You all know it. You all love it or hate it.
You might specifically enjoy it. And we do call this a boring building because there's nothing really going on there as opposed to what used to happen in there. However, if you happen to walk into Adams Hall on a Thursday night, let's say around 7:30, head up to the 4th floor, you know what you'd find, Grace?
A bunch of interesting people.
That is correct. Interesting people who write articles for the Harpoon. That's right.
Everyone read the new edition where Peyton talks about things.
You'll find out if you read it.
If you read it.
I just headbutted the mic again. I think I'm lacking depth perception right now.
That's okay. That's okay. But Adams Hall, the only interesting thing is the ghosts. No offense to the Harpoon.
The ghosts of the Harpoon.
The ghosts of Harpoon members past.
No, I wish. I'll haunt it when I die. Come back. And future Harpoon members,
I don't know
I'll
if you
want
to be there with these ghosts that are here.
You're right. They might.
Yeah, you might want to choose a different building.
You're right. All right. But tell us, what's so scary about these ghosts, Grace?
So Adams Hall was the Maine medical school from 1861 to 1920. And there were a lot of bodies going in and out of Adams Hall. A lot
of dead people.
And an interesting thing is that the bodies were shipped from Maryland.
Yeah, it's a pretty weird place to get bodies from, I'll admit. So
yeah.
If I had to pick a place to get bodies from, Maryland would be like bottom of my list, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I forget that Maryland exists. It's shaped so weird.
It is a weird shape. My best friend was born there, though, so I have to remember.
But there's like... Maryland's weird. It's just a weird state to choose from. Like, it could have been Vermont.
Why?
You could have had, like, Noah Kahan's great-great-great-grandfather coming in.
Heck yes. Well, you could have gotten him from New Jersey. I mean, think
New
of all
Jersey.
New Jersey. Everything is legal in New Jersey. Okay, I'll stop.
Whoa.
I should not be doing that.
Stay tuned for the Hamilton episode.
Coming, I don't know. Whenever we decide to do that, we're psychotic.
Anyways, Adams Hall, they shipped the bodies from Maryland, and a lot of the bodies were people who died in penitentiaries or people that died in poorhouses, people that too many people at the time didn't really like have a family that cared or could pay for their burials, which is really sad.
It is sad. Funerals are expensive, though.
Funerals are, and coffins are expensive.
Coffins are hella expensive
Yeah.
for no reason.
I mean, I feel like back in the day you could have just stuck a body
in the ground.
like
but
anywhere.
still, they were looking to make some money, and if that meant selling their loved one's dead body, they would do it, and I don't blame them for whatever situation they were in.
Yeah, and there was a lot of grave robbing too for medical schools at this time.
People were kind of chill with it.
Yeah, they wanted to make some money,
They were
quick
like,
cash.
you can
They
still
heard
body.
a burial just happened. They go to the graveyard, dig up the poor bloke, snatch that body.
Poor bloke.
The poor bloke. They snatch him and they bring him from Maryland to Maine.
To Bowdoin.
To Bowdoin, Brunswick, Maine. And so the surgeon guys can cut up them bodies. Interesting. And so the bodies were interestingly, kept in the basement. I mean, that's not interesting. I mean, it's colder in the basement.
Colder in the basement. And if you can picture a medical examiner's office right now,
Old medical examiners.
Old and current. I mean, they still do the system of they store them in the
body shelves.
In the walls.
In the walls.
In the walls, they have pull-out trays.
Yeah,
basically
they slide
like they
them
put you in
out.
a toaster oven, except it's cold. But they slide it out. So.
And even more interestingly, for some reason, the dissecting rooms were on the 4th floor in the attic of Adams.
Interesting placement of things here. I don't know who was doing this layout. I think they were a little cracked out. Not gonna lie.
So you can still go into Adams today and see a big hook at the top of the staircase.
So if you go to the bottom and look up, you can see it and it's perfectly shaped for lifting about it. Unless it was a big body, in which case not so perfectly shaped. Probably had to break a few bones.
I mean, they're already dead.
Right. Oh well.
But they'd put the body on gurneys and they'd just they'd pull her up there. And then a bunch of old-timey guys in suits would cut up the bodies and take funny pictures with them.
Yeah.
You should look up the pictures. They're really weird. They're kind of grotesque.
Really strange. Really wondering the psyche of these men.
They were just goofing around for
Yeah.
funsies. But they would also pickle the bodies. I found this really interesting. Just like
Pickle
a cucumber. They'd put them in vinegar.
Don't think that's exactly what they did.
Nah, they for real did that.
Sure, let's go with that.
They put some cucumbers in there, snacked on them while they were cutting up the bodies.
No!
I made this up.
This is not factual.
But the Adams Hall was renovated in 2007, which was very controversial because they removed a lot of that historical charm. Mm-hmm. But they added a study room in the basement and a costume storage room for the theater kids. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so one night, a theater kid was going to get some costumes.
Theater kid.
I'm a theater kid.
I know. I'm saying that poor thing.
I'm offended.
I was
You're
a theater
kid.
I basically am.
We're not allowed to
saying
make
we're
them.
weaker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We are a weaker breed.
Yes. But the girl went down there and, she was getting her costume. She started leaving. She went to go turn off the light. And she saw this, hunched over shadow thing. It's not described as a shadow person. She said it was, an odd little hunched over gremlin looking thing.
I love gremlins, though. If it was a gremlin, I would have been excited.
Well, I didn't say gremlin. I said gremlin.
That's a whole nother story. I love Mogwai. Anyway, continue.
Interesting. And so she stood there and let her eyes adjust to the light, and the thing slowly started dissipating,
getting blurrier and like
how you would imagine, a ghost fading away.
Yeah.
Which is spooky, and she watched it just fully disappear.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gone. Like smoke.
Like a little Smeagol looking hunched over thing there.
Little Smeagol.
My precious.
And so
disappears.
As a smart young woman that goes to Bowdoin does, she noped out of there. She zipped. Booked it. Back to her dorm.
Got the heck out.
She forgot about that costume.
Costume, whatever. Back to her room.
Who cares?
Going to bed for the night.
Yep.
If she could sleep, I would not, for one, be able to sleep.
Nope. I would pull an all-nighter. I'd get some work done.
I'd cry. And I would need
We'd go to Tennessee
support.
to become cowgirls.
Cowgirls and musicians.
Yeah. But an interesting thing also about Adams Hall is that they found that a lot of the floors were made out of coffin lids. Yeah,
Yikes.
because Bowdoin didn't have as much money as they did today.
Reuse, reduce, recycle.
Yes.
Or as they said, How'd they phrase it?
It was ye old free cycle.
Ye old free cycle.
I don't know, but they just put them in.
Oh, you wrote it down as eat 'em up. We took really weird notes. Just foregoing what we've been trying to read.
Delirious. I won't remember this tomorrow. But can I read everyone a quote from my notes?
Of course.
In the early Bowdoin days, they didn't throw away that sweet, sweet coffin lumber.
Sweet, sweet coffin
That's
lumber.
a straight quote
that
from
can be
me.
used for floorboards.
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 But anyways,
Beg your
Adams Hall used to be used as like a rite of passage for new security guards. I wrote frat hazing, but a rookie, he got really spooked. Like
Spooky dookied.
the senior security guards left him. They're like, okay, look through Hubbard, make sure there's no squatters.
Adams,
so
you
sorry.
just love Hubbard.
I just love Hubbard so much, guys.
We're obsessed.
But he goes in, and then suddenly their walkie-talkie goes like, you guys are pulling a
so
funny
funny
little joke on me. Like, you think you're so smart.
And they were like, what's this guy on about?
And
we're over here on the other side of the quad.
Yeah, and then they look over at Adams, and they see all of the lights are out.
They're all gone, all off.
And there's
Complete
no power outage going
darkness.
off. It's just...
No reason for the lights to be off.
Yeah. Really weird. But... Yeah, and so one night in the study room that was in Adams, which used to be open to students, a bunch of students were chilling in there. It was storming out. It was like probably really aesthetic, I have a feeling, very dark academia. And suddenly the power goes out, and they're like, oh, shoot, we've got to go out of here. And all of a sudden they see, as they're about to leave, this bluish-white light, like, forming in front of the door, and they just stand there, like, transfixed.
Just looking.
I would be. I don't know why they just stood there. I probably would have noped. I would have been out of there. But I guess it was dark out. They couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. That's that story. And then one night, 30 years ago, an ambulance pulled up to Adams, and a custodian was, wheeled out on a gurney. And he was apparently saying that he was pushed.
He was saying, and I quote, and it's going to be my impression of him, because he repeated it, I was pushed. I was pushed.
Yeah. And another custodian found him just on the ground.
I think he was pushed.
Yeah.
Or he was just embarrassed.
Here's what I wonder. Do you think Randy put him in the security report? Was Randy here 30 years ago?
Randy.
I think Randy's an enigma. He's been at Bowdoin since 1794.
Forever.
I'm a big fan of you, Randy. I know you have a radio show.
I love you, Randy.
I love you, Randy. I am so sad that I didn't get a signed Randy sticker on Family Weekend.
I have one.
I know, and so does my roommate, and so did some people in front of me. Randy was helping me cross the road, and he gave them stickers, but he didn't give me a sticker.
Oh, Randy. How could
Randy,
you do
next
this?
time I see you, I want a sticker, please, and thank you. I respect you a lot, and I love how you put the Evan Gershkovich date in the security report.
Yes.
Big fan. Anyways, another custodian reports that he was vacuuming up in the dissection room, and his vacuum suddenly shut off, and so he went to go see if it unplugged, and it was plugged in, and then all of a sudden it just started going
off again.
And he was like,
that's
wow,
great
that's
vacuum
weird.
impression.
Yeah. That's what my vacuum sounds like. Quote.
Yeah, anyway.
That's it. I mean, I think that's very debunkable. It could just be that it was an old vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of wild. One time, this professor was going to her office, and she saw that it was locked.
This is the one that really gets me, because if it's completely true, if I was in her position, I more than would have sobbed. I would have been traumatized for the rest of my life.
She was a trooper throughout this entire story. But so she went to her office and she was like, oh, it's locked. That's weird. Like, I didn't lock that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she took out her key, and then the door started shaking on its hinges.
Violently, like earthquake shaking. Like, you're about to put your key in your door, and it's just freaking, like, just shaking and like violent shakes.
Like, on its hinges, moving around, locked.
I would die on the spot.
And she was like, ha ha ha, it's a funny joke.
Breaky, brink.
I bet you one of my coworkers is in there.
So, homegirl opens the door anyway.
No. I can't believe she did this. She opens it.
Bestie.
Nobody's in the room.
Not a soul.
And she's like, maybe I'm going to go home.
Good decision, babe.
Yeah, and then she never went back at night again.
Also another good decision, babe.
I don't think I'd ever go back at all again.
I would
I'd quit and I'd pull a Walden and go live in a cabin in the woods by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Thoreau style.
The woo style.
And then our last little Adams Hall story is one time an electrician was called in during a citywide power outage of Brunswick. And, he had to, this was during a time where, like, if the lights did come back on after being off, there would be, like, a power blow thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not an electrician. But he goes in, he's doing things, he leaves, and he to go get something from his truck or something, and he looks up. There's lights coming from the dissection room, but he knows for a fact that the entire Brunswick city is just in a blackout.
Out of power.
Like
there's nothing that should be.
Yeah, and there's nobody up there with flashlights because he was the only one in the building. Mm-hmm. Like, why would a student be in there in the middle of the night?
They couldn't be.
During a storm.
He would know.
And so King was very smart. He was an electrician. He was like, yeah, I'm an electrician. None of my business. He literally said, like, none of my business.
I know there's no power in this building. Whatever is causing there to be light up there,
I don't want to know.
Nope. I wouldn't want to know either, homie.
He got in his truck, put in his key, started that engine, and vroomed on out of there.
Smart man.
So valid.
As he should.
And our tour guide, which is also Mr., I think his last name was Francis, during a tour once with some prospective students, heard some knocking in the basement, which is horrifying, and I would have left.
Like the walls where the bodies were.
Yep. Nope. I would
That's being a prospective student being told that. I wouldn't come here.
I would have gone to Colby.
Oh, don't do that.
I would have gone to Maine or no.
There you go. Okay. Got it.
Yup. So that one is definitely hereditary rating.
That one's hereditary rating, especially just because of the body stuff. And how there was bodies there. Like, there's no denying 100% the fact that there were bodies in those walls. There were bodies and there was coffin wood used and
horrifying.
Terrible things.
And this lady's door was shaking on its hinges. I would have quit.
That is horror
10-year
movie
over.
Stuff. That is horror movie stuff.
Nope. I would not be in that room.
Yes, correctly. The movie.
Nope. But Bowdoin, spooky.
Bowdoin Spookies. Tales of Haunted Bowdoin.
Yeah, and now we have our own Bowdoin Spookies from that.
We do. We might be expanding on that at some point.
We might have to come back to you guys with an update.
We might. But it has been quite the time already.
It's been a time.
You have been listening to WBOR Brunswick. This has been Peyton.
And this has been Grace.
And you are listening to Girl Talk, where we talked about lovely ghost stories.
The spookers.
And we consistently talk about all things girly and just, girly pop culture.
Yes.
Next Thursday, going into Friday morning technically at 1 to 2 a.m. You can join us again. We'll be talking about some more girly pop things. Don't quite know yet. We haven't discussed which topic.
It's midterm
We have
season.
many. It's midterm season.
Give us a break.
We're brain dead. But like we said, this is WBOR with Peyton.
And this is Grace.
And we will be signing off. Have a good night and rest of your morning.
Bonne nuit.